With the Denver Broncos set to play in their first preseason game on Saturday, I imagine any day now we're going to get an unofficial depth chart released by the team. A couple things to note here. This depth chart is only released because the league mandates it. Sean Payton wouldn't release a depth chart at all if it were up to him. He said that you should barely put any stock into this depth chart. It's not going to even come close to reflecting the actual week 1 depth chart. So I'm not going to even make a video about it when it comes out. However, I do think it's fair to project who might make this team and who might be on the outside looking in now that we're 2 weeks into training camp and about to play in our first preseason game. So I decided to give my best crack at it, and I projected the Denver Broncos 53-man roster. This is very much subject to change as we've still got 3 preseason games to play, but let's go ahead and bring this in here. Again, it's just a rough estimate on my part, but I think I've got a pretty good idea about where things are going to go, at least 90% of it. So, quarterbacks. I think that the Broncos are only going to keep 2 quarterbacks on the active roster, Bo Nix and Jarrett Stidham. In Sean Payton's first season here in 2023, they only kept 2 quarterbacks on the active, Russell Wilson and Jarrett Stidham. They had Ben DiNucci on the practice squad. Last season, they had Zach Wilson, who they couldn't really risk putting on waivers because somebody would have claimed him, so they had to keep him on the active roster all year long and just have him inactive as the third-string quarterback. This year, I think that they're going to go back to the more traditional setup of 2 quarterbacks on the active and then 1 on the practice squad in Sam Ehlinger. Running backs. I have them keeping 5 running backs on the active if you include Michael Burton as the fullback and core special teamer. J.K. Dobbins and R.J. Harvey are your 1A and 1B. Jaleel McLaughlin is your pure scat back. And then Audric Estime will come in certain situations. That is assuming if he's active. Remember, the team's going to have to put a few players on the inactive list for every single game. Even guys who may make the team still might not play on Sunday. And then Michael Burton, he's going to be on this team. He's a core special teamer. He's got a role on this offense as the fullback. I feel like the Broncos might do what they did with him last year, especially when they go to put Drew Sanders on the short-term IR. He might not make the initial 53, but since he's a vested veteran, he doesn't have to go on waivers, and the Broncos can re-sign him right back. So I feel like that's what might happen with Michael Burton. Another possible candidate for that is Trent Sherfield as a vested veteran as well. Tight ends, I've got him keeping just 3, Evan Ingram, Adam Troutman, and Nate Atkins. Caleb Lohner could certainly make a case, but I don't know if they've got a spot for him on the active right now. They might have to risk putting him on waivers and seeing if he can make the practice squad. Nate Atkins is such a key rotational guy for you and arguably your best blocking tight end, so I don't want to lose him. I'm not going to risk not having him on the team over a guy in Caleb Lohner who's very much a developmental player who should be more in the plans for 2026 as opposed to 2025. With wide receivers, I've got him going 6. Some might only have him going 5, but Trent Sherfield is going to be on this team no matter what. He's a core special teams player. He's carved himself out a nice role on offense in training camp, so Trent Sherfield's going to be here. Cortland Sutton, Devon Vele, Marvin Mims, those guys are all locks. Troy Franklin's had a great training camp, so he's not going anywhere. And then Pat Bryant, of course, you just drafted in the 3rd round, so he's obviously making this team as well. It's going to be tough carrying 6 wide receivers because one of them is going to be inactive, and it's probably not going to be Trent Sherfield. I imagine that you might see games where Troy Franklin or maybe even Pat Bryant are inactive. That sucks, but that's just kind of the league rules right now. I don't understand why we even have inactives, to be honest with you. I think it's dumb. If you're on the 53-man roster, then you should be eligible to play every single game. Why even have a 53-man roster if you're not eligible to play? I don't get it. I've never seen the point of inactives in sports. I absolutely hate it. But some guys will be inactive. That's just league rules. Offensive line, I have them keeping 8. Obviously, you've got your 5 starters, and then Alex Palczewski, he's very clearly your swing tackle. Matt Peart's going to be on this team because he's your jumbo tackle that you bring in when you have 6 offensive linemen on the field. The Broncos used jumbo quite a bit last year with Matt Peart. I imagine they want to continue him in that role. And then you've got Alex Forsyth as your backup interior guy. He can play both guard and center for you. That one's pretty much a no-brainer. Defensive line, 6 guys. Zach Allen, John Franklin Myers, DJ Jones, Malcolm Roach. Those guys are locks. Savion Jones as a draft pick and potential JFM future replacement. He's a lock as well. And then I do have Ioma Uwazurike making it. I think that he's had a fantastic camp. It looks to me like he's put on some weight. And if that's the case, he can be that true 320-plus pound double gap clogging defensive tackle that this team desperately needs. Innie's had a fantastic camp, so I think he's done enough to stay around here on the 53-man roster. A big-time redemption story for Innie. Edge rushers, I've got him keeping 5. Nick Bonito, Jonathan Cooper, Jonah Ellis, Dondre Tillman, and Q Robinson. This was going to be the room where they were going to have some tough decisions to make, but Johnny Walker getting hurt and going on IR for the season does make it a little bit easier. I do have them keeping one of their edge rushers on the practice squad as well. We will discuss that here in just a little bit. Linebackers, I've got them keeping 4 linebackers. That might be a little bit light. I'm still going to maintain, guys, I think Lavelle Bailey is going to be your week 1 starter at linebacker over Alex Singleton. That doesn't mean that Singleton's not going to make the team, but I've got him making the team as a veteran backup. Let's say that Singleton's not happy with that, though, and he wants to be traded. Then you could very easily swap out Alex Singleton for another player, maybe a J.B. Brown or a Karene Reed or somebody like that. I think Karene Reed's probably the best linebacker out of the undrafted guys as of right now. So this could be somebody else. As of right now, I do have Singleton still being on this team as a backup, but Lavelle Bailey's played so damn well in Singleton's absence. I don't think that you can take him off the field, and you're certainly not taking Drake Greenlaw off the field after paying him a bunch of money. Alex Singleton, still a good player, but he might have just gotten Wally pipped. Justin Sternad, he's had a great camp, so I think he's going to make it as well. Cornerback, I've got him keeping 5. Pat Surtain, Riley Moss, and Jahdae Barron as your 3 starters. Jaquan McMillan will be your backup nickel. And in certain situations when the Broncos are in the dime, McMillan could be your nickel player, and then Barron could be more of your dime backer. I've seen the Broncos do that a little bit in training camp, so I think he makes it. Jaquan does for that reason. Chris Abrams-Drain's also going to make it as your backup boundary corner. Then safety, this might be a little bit surprising. I do have them keeping 6 safeties. Your 2 starters in Brandon Jones and Talanoa Hufanga, and then 2 key backups in PJ Locke and Devon Key. JL Skinner is a key special teamer for you, and I think he can come in and play in the dime in certain situations as well. And then Sam Franklin, they signed him to be a core special teamer as well, so he's going to make it. We should really just call this the 50-man roster because you're going to have 3 spots taken up no matter what with kicker, punter, and long snapper, Will Lutz, Jeremy Crawshaw, and Mitchell Fraboni, of course, all locks to make the 53-man roster. And now moving into practice squad, this is going to be my best crack at projecting the 16-man practice squad. This is very much subject to change as well. Some guys might get claimed off waivers elsewhere. Some guys might want to go to other teams' practice squads for a better opportunity to see playing time. So I think that this is very much subject to change. It's a lot harder to predict the practice squad than it is the 53. But this is my best crack at it. I think Sam Ehlinger is going to make it. Tyler Bidae's had a great camp. I don't think there's a spot for him on the 53, but I do think he makes it on the practice squad and will probably be called up a few times on the active roster. Blake Watson, he's also had a great camp, and if you can get him through waivers, I think that he'll come back on the practice squad. I only have him keeping 2 practice squad wide receivers. That was a bit of a tough decision because I think all of their wide receivers played well, but because you need other spots elsewhere, I chose the 2 best guys in Courtney Jackson and Jerwan Newton, the 2 undrafted guys. I think Caleb Lohner, you can sneak onto the practice squad this year, let him develop and basically redshirt this year, and then he might be a contributor for you in 2026. Xavier Truss at tackle, he was a priority undrafted free agent out of Georgia. You might not be able to sneak him through waivers, but if you can, I would love to see him back on the practice squad. Otherwise, he might be a guy you'd have to put on the 53. I think Calvin Throckmorton will make it as sort of your veteran swing interior guy. You can promote him to the game day roster if you have an injury on the offensive line, very much like they did last year. And then Clay Webb, he's played really well as a developmental player. I think he has a high ceiling in the NFL. They might be able to sneak him through depending on how much he plays in the preseason. Jordan Jackson and Jordan Miller as sort of your rotational defensive linemen on the practice squad. Jordan Miller as a pure backup nose tackle, and then Jordan Jackson, who saw playing time last year. I do have Andrew Farmer on the edge. He's played really well in training camp and probably is enough of a no-name where you might be able to sneak him through onto the practice squad. Corrine Reed, he's played well, the linebacker. Damari Mathis has had a fantastic camp. He really has. I've been so impressed with how well Damari's played. They might not be able to get him through waivers, but if they can, I would love to see Damari Mathis back on the practice squad. There might not be a spot for him on the 53, but if you are dealing with an injury at corner, Mathis could be a guy who's promoted to the active roster, and he could see playing time for you. He's played really, really well, Broncos country. Reese Taylor's another guy who's played well, and I think he's earned a practice squad spot. And then Keydron Smith is another one. He played well last year. He's played well this year, and I think he can make the practice squads as well. So overall, guys, I think that this is my best shot at predicting the 53 and the practice squad for the Denver Broncos. This is all subject to change. But as of right now, August 5th at 3:30 p.m., this is where I think things stand. Alright guys, be sure to leave a like on this video as well as subscribe and ring the bell so these videos appear in your notification feed. I would greatly appreciate it, guys. Those are both free and easy ways to show your support. It helps tell YouTube's algorithm to push us out, and it helps us get seen by more and more members of Broncos country just like you and me. Additionally, if you guys want to go above and beyond in supporting the channel, please consider becoming a channel member today. That would be absolutely incredible. The link is in the description below. You can get some extra perks and incentives in exchange for helping me out and helping the channel out in general. Alright guys, and until next time, I'm your host Gage Madrid, saying peace out.